before y'all ask questions, just get started. A couple things from injury updates. We're pretty healthy. I think Cam Irvin is probably at best a game time decision, but he's improving. Jaden Jones has not been able to practice till this week with his hand injury, but he's now been cleared. How much of him we'll see, I don't know, just because he hadn't been able to practice and get in shape. And he's going to have to play with a club on his hand, but he has been cleared to return to play. And then just to get this out, so Kamar Wheaton will be suspended for the first game. It's just the first game. After that, he's fully reinstated. It has nothing to do with any personal things that he's not been in trouble other than we have a class attendance policy here. We go to class. And in the summer, in the second session, he decided that wasn't important to him, and we respect our teachers here too much to allow that in our program. So he understands what the expectations are, and our guys know the standard, and that's why he won't be there game one. He is healthy, and after that, all things are available game two moving forward, but just that's why you won't see him out there. Questions?
Now that it is game week, can you sense Preston's excitement to finally be that guy?
Yeah, I can. He's excited, which, in some ways is awesome, and in some ways, who knows, early on, there may be some emotions. It's real easy to get ramped up for your first game, no matter what. But I feel really confident with his preparation. I think he feels really confident with what we're doing, and so he just needs to go out and play and trust his teammates.
With how long you've known him through recruiting him and coaching him and all of those things, how close have you guys built this relationship over the years, and how important is that?
You'll have to ask him. I think we're pretty close. I think it's real important. He's the only guy in the world that my son Thomas will let call him Tom. So nobody in our family or anyone else can call him Tom, but Preston's allowed to. So for whatever reason, that makes it cool. And but like all of our guys, we get emotionally invested with our players, so we want to see them do well. But the history of going back to, I remember when Preston was spring of his 9th grade year, I think, going into his sophomore year is the first time I went to Parrish and watched him throw. So it's been a long, 5 years, 6 years? I don't know how long it's been, but it's exciting to see him get his opportunity.
That was going to be my next question. What was your first impression of him, first time you saw him?
Well, so I went out, I'd heard about this kid at Parrish that played as a 9th grader and's lighting it up and all this, and, has some SMU connections. So I go out, and Coach Novakoff's the coach there, and go to watch him practice, and it's a spring. They're just throwing, I don't even think they had pads on. They were just throwing routes. And it was almost like scenes from Varsity Blues where there goes my heroes playing by Foo Fighters, and this dude starts running onto the field. He's a 9th grader, going to be a 10th grader, and there's all these senior girls on the side screaming and hollering, "Yay, Preston." Like, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, this guy, okay, very good, and he just trotted right out there like he belonged. And then I watched him throw for about 20 minutes, and it was without question the best throwing session I've ever seen a 9th grader do, So that was my first impression.
And then with him, just the difference between him getting ready for the Tulsa game last year and maybe this week where he does have that ownership.
Yeah, I think there's a difference. Not a ton. It helps that he got in some games last year when it mattered and obviously started a game and played well when he started. All that's important. But there's just a difference when you go through a full spring and summer and fall camp and you're the guy. And there's just I don't know. It's just a first. There's a lot of firsts in life for all of us, and I think he'll handle it well. I think he will be able to draw on the fact that he's done it. It'd be a lot different if he had never been out there, but it's just still different being the guy. And I don't know how to put it into words other than it's just different, but I expect he'll settle in and handle it well.
Coach, I know you've probably been asked a million times about the heat, but
yeah.
What's different when you're playing at 100 degrees at noon?
Yeah.
Do you do anything different?
Hopefully for us, our depth will help us. Hopefully the fact that we've been practicing here in Dallas for the last month, even though we've been going a little bit earlier. Hot is still really, really hot. There's no question. Both teams got to play in it. I think games, you hope your practice is harder than a game. In a game, if you're on offense, you run a series, you come back and you sit down. You don't sit down ever in practice. It's just constant. Same thing on defense. You go out, you come back and you sit down. And so now maybe the actual plays are a little more intense in a game, right? The exertion's a little different, but then there's more breaks. We got to do a good job of hydrating, but I think our game last year against TCU was well over 100 as well. At the same time, it's just kind of part of it, and we're not the only ones in the country playing it. I think our mentality has to be when it gets hotter, we get stronger, and I know our training staff will do a good job leading up to the game, having us hydrated during the game, the things we'll do, and I'm sure they will too, to make sure we take care of our guys. But, that's what's great about football. You play it in all kinds of weather.
What have you seen from Louisiana Tech now that you've gotten a chance to watch some of their film?
Smoke Harris is a problem, number 6, both in the return game and you see what he did. He really changed the momentum of their game the other night by himself. And, it's rare that receivers can do that, but he's a playmaker for him. I think they got an experienced quarterback. Dude's won a lot of games. I think he's gone into Tallahassee and won back when he was at Boise. So, that experience is real. Winning gives you confidence. And you look at their defense. I think they held them under 200 yards. 4 yards passing. You could probably play on defense with 13 and give up more than 4 yards passing. So, and then just the fact that you usually get really good from game 1 to game 2. So they've knocked all the rust off. They're in shape, playing in heat, a little bit more probably game shape than we are. So we're going to have to weather that early and play really good to win. But, Sonny does a good job. I've got a lot of respect for Sonny Cumbie and what his staff does, and I think he's a good fit there.
Coach, I asked this yesterday to one of the coordinators. Who is somebody besides Preston? Was the obvious answer for him. But is there anybody out there? I'm sure there are a few guys that you can't wait for fans to see that you really think can impress people and show up in game film.
It's a great and fair question. I'm not going to bite because I don't want to put any extra pressure on any one guy. That I hope you see a lot of guys. I hope there's a lot of guys on offense, defense, teams that I know our fans are excited to see that kind of show up and maybe even impress us. Because there's a lot of these guys we still don't know how they're going to handle a game environment. Practice is one thing, game's different. And I tell you what, I'm excited to see our defense play in general. I think we're flying to the ball. I think they're playing with a lot of confidence. And I think probably hopefully what I think you see more than anything is that on both sides of the ball and special teams, we're able to play with enough depth that you see a lot of guys involved. And then maybe afterwards we can talk about who stood out. So.
With the depth and the unknowns, there are a lot of oars on that first step.
Yeah.
How much of that is the unknown? How much of it is the depth? How much of it is maybe the situation that you get the ball in first? It depends who goes
I think it's more the depth. Now, there's a lot of times as a coach it's easy to hedge and just put or. In this case, like at receiver, for example, I don't really know who our starting receivers are. I feel like we're too deep at those main 3 starting receiver spots. To your point, you could almost rotate it by game, by series. Does it work itself out differently during the season? Yeah, but it's not as much like we don't know. It's we have that much confidence in both of them that we feel like they're almost co-starters in a lot of places. And I think the same in spots at running back and on defense. And so that's the real reason this year for the Oars is that we want to play with that depth. We believe that we have a chance to have it. We got to go out and prove it. So we just feel like at a lot of positions it's more co-starters than a 1 and a 2. And that's probably why you saw so many Oars.
What's the energy been like so far this week heading into week 1 and how do you kind of cultivate it, make sure that it's directed the right way?
It's a great question. I think it's been good. I haven't noticed a major change, which is great because, if all of a sudden we're really locked in and urgent this week, then that proves that's not how we are all the time. I think our guys are excited to go play. To your question, we got to play with a lot of passion and not a lot of emotion. And those are 2 different deals, and there's a fine line there. But I think the energy's been good. I think the focus is good. Look, at some point we got to go play, and that's I don't know where we are as a team. I have an idea, but till we go do it, it's the next step in our process. We got to go play a game, and to see where we are and where we've made maybe progress, but where we got a lot of progress to make this year. And so until we go play, that's really the next step. I'm excited. We just got to go out and deliver.
Year 1 to year 2 for you as a head coach. You talked a little bit about it during the season last year. Do you feel much different? Do you feel, obviously, I'm sure this spring and summer and fall camp was a little different, but do you sense that difference, or will it just kind of be maybe in crunch time making a play call maybe with that first year under your belt?
Yeah, hopefully the head coach is better in year 2, and hopefully I do a better job. I know especially those first few games last year, I did some bonehead stuff that most of the time didn't cost us, but boy, could have. So, could be little decisions like that. A lot of the firsts are out of the way. A lot of the first time for this, first time for that's done. So I haven't had to think about it. At the end of the day, you put the same pressure on yourself, whether you're playing game 1, game 10, year 1, year 2, if you're a competitor. I feel the same pressure every week to win and to deliver. We want to deliver for our fans. You know, we want to deliver for these guys that have expectations. And I don't know if that's any different than it was last year, game one, other than it was the first. At least we don't have to talk about that this year. But, you know, I am more comfortable. I feel really good about our staff and our team and where we are. We just got to go do it.
What was the process like? I know you guys brought in a bunch of guys on both sides of the ball, but on the defensive side in particular, so many new faces that are going to start or play a lot for you guys. How did you guys tackle that process, and knowing that you wanted to bring in so many guys that maybe would be future pieces versus instant impact guys?
Yeah. You know, I mean, we went out, we knew there was holes we needed to fill, but we were just trying to get good players that fit SMU in our program, and I feel like we did that to a large degree, and I feel like it's raised the level of the guys that were here. And I think Scott and the staff have done a really nice job being consistent since spring with the scheme, with what we do, with, you know, trying to be the same guys every day. And you really got to credit the players so far. They've bought into the team mentality to, you know, playing a lot of guys, kind of or starters and all that. I just think our defense is. I know what I've seen. We're in a different place than we've been in the past, but we got to go do it.